One of the things I thought I would talk about a series setup like this. I actually posted about this, I guess, a few weeks ago, and it created some very interesting conversations. I'm doing a push pull recovery to or charging to get all of these cylinders in here. Now, one thing comes up is, well, hey, why didn't you use a good big 1,000 pound cylinder or something like that? Well, actually, this particular case, this machine had gone almost flat. I think we got 200 pounds out of what's supposed to be 1,500 out of the chiller at the time. And this is what the refrigerant supplier could ship us. They shipped us all these blue cylinders on a pallet, and then we just rolled them into the plant and began charging. And so this cylinder here, which is we were using 240s at the time, so 240 pound. These are 125s. This is what we put the little bit of refrigerant that was there into. So basically, what I've done is to speed up the process, instead of having to hook and unhook, hook and unhook, hook and unhook every single tank, we just ran them all in series together. Now, this is for charging specifically. So I'm pushing out of the recovery into the vapor of this tank, coming out of its liquid line into the vapor of the next tank, and then out of that liquid line into the next tank's vapor, out of liquid into vapor, and doing it all the way through until the final tank we're coming out of its liquid line and into the chiller. So what is happening is I'm pulling the vapor off of the chiller that's been of the refrigerant that's been charged, and I'm pushing that vapor specifically back into this cylinder. As I do that, it pressurizes the cylinder and pushes that liquid down. And as that liquid pushes down, it draws it into the next tank. Now, you also have to keep in mind that because I am pulling vapor off of this chiller, there's also a little bit of a pulling action. So more than just it pushing, there's also some pulling. Those two in combination literally pushed all that liquid refrigerant through each tank all the way through until we had completely charged every tank with just one hookup. Now, this takes a lot of hoses. That's one of the reasons why some of these hoses are just the small version. We just didn't have enough of larger hoses to do the entire thing. But we just wanted to see how far could we push this at the time. I was very curious. We had a bunch of tanks, and we had just enough hoses to literally get every single tank connected. And so we just figured, what the hell, why not? Why not try? So, and it worked out beautifully. Now, in trying to do this for recovery, now again, I'm charging here, and I'm also doing a push-pull. There's a couple of lines of thought, and I want to be very careful here because I don't want anybody to get hurt. One of the things I've been brought up with is that we have the 80% charging rule, but that's a DOT standard for if we're going to transport cylinders. It's also important that, like, if that cylinder is going to be out in a open climate where the climate is constantly shifting pressure and temperature, or not pressure, but constantly shifting temperatures heavily, we got major temperature swings, which is going to cause that tank to see pressure increase. We want to respect that 80% rule, period. But in a centrifugal plant, most of the time, we have a very stable, not always, some of them aren't conditioned whatsoever. This particular one's down in a basement. So we have a pretty stable environment. In that environment, I personally have had it to where during a recovery phase, filling a cylinder to its full capacity has not been an issue. Now, I'll only do it in that specific environment. And one of the methods I was taught before we would even use a scale, we'd put a sight glass on the leaving side, on the vapor side of our recovery cylinder doing the push-pull. And when we began to see liquid coming out of the vapor port, we knew that tank was full, stop it, move to the next cylinder. That is a very standard practice for what I came up with. Now, there are some risks to that. That's something you just have to understand if you're going to try a series hookup like that. You have to pay attention to what your plant conditions are, because I wouldn't do that if I knew that I was going to have major temperature swings. And there is still a risk that you fill a cylinder completely with liquid and it doesn't have any room for expanding and breathing of that liquid refrigerant. It's just going to be further compression. You could burst the safety disc on that cylinder, on a cylinder, very easily. So I want you to please just be careful with that. You'll see me present something like, hey, let's do a series setup and we'll do all this on the recovery. And then, like, yeah, we're filling every tank technically completely full. We're not within DOT regulation. We're outside of, so if we wanted to transport these cylinders after doing this, we can't do that. We are not road legal. We would have to go through the process of moving that refrigerant elsewhere to get it into a road legal condition. So I wanted to lay that out here as one of the factors to understand. Okay, so yeah, if you see a setup like this, like I am specifically charging here, and I have done recoveries this way, but I am in a controlled climate plant. I am not out I'm not going to be transporting these cylinders when I'm done. They're going to stay here until I'm ready to use them again. And they're going to see about 75 degrees pretty consistently, give or take a couple of degrees. The risk is, in my opinion, minimized. That doesn't make it right. If you're not already in Chiller Academy, I'd really encourage you to go check it out. Just think about it, right? This is what I do full time. I've committed. I've stepped out of the field, committed my career to this going forward. This is what I've always wanted to do, and to be able to educate, help others, and grow, and help this industry take steps forward. So chilleracademy.com. Like I'd love to be able to work with you over there. We've got a community page. All the lessons have a comment section. That's what I spend a lot of my day doing. If I'm not working on the lesson material itself, then I am in the comments and I'm trying to respond to those as fast as I can, in addition to helping you through email and otherwise. So love to be able to work with you. For all of those that are in the academy, y'all are doing some great work out there. Keep it up. I really appreciate the support and the feedback that you've given.